So we're going to go to the next part of the trends analysis, and we're going to go into financing. So again, we're going to go into our shared drive, go into Z, chemical trend data. We'll go again to second quarter 2015, and here you'll see our list. This is sort of the table of contents for the analysis and all the respective components. So we're going to click on, there's two main things here. You will need the SDC files and the financing folder, which will have some spreadsheets that are relevant to you. So SDC has the raw data essentially that we use for our analysis. So this pulls all of the transactions from one of these major databases. This one is known as SDC, as opposed to Capital IQ or FactSet or Merger Market. So here you will see SDC data for debt, equity, basic and specialty chemicals, and M&A. We're going to start with chemicals, equity, financing. So you're going to take the SDC file labeled Basic Chemicals Equity 2Q 2015. You will also take Specialty Chemicals Equity 2Q 2015. You'll open them up, and here you'll see lists of transactions that may or may not be relevant for our analysis, but this is where you will do investigation and analyze these companies and the transactions to see if this falls within Young and Partners criteria for chemicals. If you go to the financing tab, or file, you'll see several files here. We're going to click on Chemicals Equity 2Q 2015 Consolidated. So these are the files that we use in order to do the analysis. We kind of use this as a temporary place to conduct the analysis on the transactions for the quarter we are working on before moving over to another file, which you'll see is labeled as Chem Equity Financing 2Q 2015, which contains the equity financing transactions for all time, as opposed to consolidated, which only captures the data for the respective quarter you are working on. So here you will see three tabs in Chemical Equity 2Q 2015 Consolidated, labeled as Basic, Specialty, and Consolidated. So if we go to Basic, how I start this is by creating new rows here. I'm just going to quickly just do this for demonstration purposes, and I will take the data from the SDC files and I will copy these over. Into here. So this isn't going to line up since I'm just showing you, just quickly showing you, but I copy these in here, and then you're going to, let's see if I can align it a little bit. This is where you'll conduct your analysis. You'll see offer date, issuer, amount, business description, marketplace, type of security. These are all the relevant factors for equity financing. Here you will go through each of these transactions You'll investigate whether these companies are in fact chemical companies, and if they are chemical companies, whether they are basic chemical companies or specialty chemical companies. And in the end, you will label each of them as, you will say either OK hyphen S, meaning OK, as in this is a relevant transaction, that is a specialty chemical transaction, or OKC, or you'll, if it is not, so this one is AAG Energy Holdings, which doesn't sound like a chemical company, and let's just say it's not. You type in X and a reason why you think it's not. So let's say energy. After you do this analysis, and you will get, after you go through the whole list, you will see which ones, you will sort this out, sort out this list, and that way all of your OKs, the relevant transactions, are on top, and the ones that you have marked for deletion are on the bottom. You will do the same for specialty chemicals. Create another tab here, and copy and paste your SDC data into here. Go through, do your analysis, and then when you're ultimately done, you're going to create a consolidated tab, which will contain both the commodity chemical companies or basic chemical companies, and the specialty chemical companies. Sorry, not companies, but transactions that are relevant, and you'll put them together, keeping the labeling clear, like OKC, OKS, and then below them you will put the transactions that you have marked for deletion for whatever reason it may be, and you'll put these at the bottom. And this is generally what you will use to show one of the managing directors, as to show the managing directors, for them to check whether your analysis was correct in your identification of each of the transactions looks okay. So basic, analyze, pull in your raw data from SDC, analyze. Specialty, pull in your raw data from SDC, analyze, and then consolidated. This is where you'll put it all together into one list. So this is for chemical equity 2Q 2015 consolidated. So remember, the consolidated final is just for the quarter. Now you will do exactly the same process for debt financing. Specialty chemicals debt 2Q 2015, you'll pull that. Basic chemicals debt, and you will pull the previous quarters chemicals debt 2Q 2015 consolidated file, copy it over and label it for your new quarter. That way you don't mix it up with the previous quarter, and you will use essentially use the what has already been done as a template, so you can make it easier for yourself. Basic debt, specialty debt tab, consolidated, and you will pull in your raw data, do the analysis for both basic and specialty, and then you're going to consolidate it all, including the companies or the transactions you marked for deletion, into one final tab labeled as consolidated. So after you get your after you show these transactions for both debt and equity to one of the managing directors, and after you get approval, you will then add these new transactions into the all-time basically files, which literally contain the financing transactions for many years. In this case, in the financing file, you'll see it labeled as Chem Equity Financing 2Q 2015. And respectively, you have Chem Debt Financing 2Q 2015. in this file, Chem Equity Financing 2Q 2015, you'll see several tabs here. You are going to start by going to All, parentheses WW tab, or sorry, that's incorrect. You will go to the tab labeled as Equity in all capitals. Here you will see many transactions. Like I said, this tracks it over many years, and what you're going to do is create new rows. So figure out how many rows you need for the respective amount of equity transactions, for example, for the most recent quarter. So let's just say there's whatever this is, looks like 8 or 10, doesn't really matter. You're going to take your data that you compiled for the quarter, which would be in this case, Chem Equity 2Q 2015 consolidated. You will take the relevant transactions, as in the ones that are indeed chemical companies, both commodity and specialty, and you will copy these transactions into the total, into this kind of mega file in the respective columns. Make sure it aligns and all the information is complete the way all these previous transactions have been entered in here. When you are in doubt, always refer to what has previously been done. That is usually the best template, to move forward and to go about this analysis. So here, for the previous quarter, you'll see C as in commodity, specialty, and generally they are labeled with a certain color. This will be one quarter together, and see the next group will be another quarter together, and so on and so forth. Once you have entered your data in here, you will then go to the before we go anywhere, I would just like to note that you will have labels here. Again, if you just follow what has been done, you will be successful in this process. But you'll notice country location, and if it's United States, just type in a U. If it's another country, say Canada, for example, you type in R for rest of the world. Or if it's in China, you would type in A for Asia. And also make sure you note here whether the transaction was an IPO or not, because we track IPOs separately and individually. We will then go to the tab. After you've entered all the data, we'll go to the tab labeled as All, parentheses WW. Here you'll see a list of numbers or data at the top and corresponding charts below it. What this does is this tab pulls data from the total list and compiles it into sums for each individual country / continent, so the US, Europe, Asia versus the rest of the world, and that way we can chart the data into these files. So the way this file works is you'll see at the top, these are kind of created as like input-output systems. So if you type in, so here this one is a U is in here, and you'll see next to it says offer date, an offer date, and this is the date range in the fourth row of this file for your quarter. So for example, for the next quarter, it would be 12/31/2014 in F4, and in G4 you will have, it will be September 30th, 2015, or 9/30/2015. And enter it in exactly as you see it in the same format. You don't want to innovate here. Just follow what is already on the file. And when you do that, you will see an output here that says deal amount and number of deals. And so this is pulled from one of the other tabs, the equity tab specifically, where you entered all the transactions. And once you get these numbers here, you'll take this deal amount, say 1.65 and 3 deals for the United States, and you will enter it in on the very far right, which would be the most recent, the column for the most recent data, and you'll type in 1.65 here for US, and you'll do the same for Europe, Asia, and the rest of the world, and you'll get sums here. That is the dollar volume. You also, below that, you will have the number of transactions, which you'll see here is number of deals, and this, you'll see this data in rows 7 and 8. And then these charts below, you'll click on them, and you'll see that they pull data directly from these numbers that are listed above. And you'll see, similar to the stock price charts, they are captured in blue boxes and purple box for the dates. And you'll just make sure that the relevant data is captured. And that will get you to the new charts you need. And the charts here are in dollar volume and in the number of transactions, volume of transactions. So this one will pull from the number of transactions, which is below here. That is it for equity financing. And then I'm going to show you debt financing, which will be a similar methodology. I'm not going to save any of this because I was just doing it for demonstration purposes. And I'm going to close my equity files because we care about debt now. Okay, so we have our consolidated 2Q chemicals debt 2Q 2015 consolidated file. Sorry about that. And this will have all of the relevant transactions, both commodity and specialty, debt financings. And we're going to open up our all-time lists, which are labeled as, which is labeled as Chem Debt Financing 2Q 2015. It's important when you create new files that you follow the nomenclature that is that has been in use. That way we are consistent over time, and we can keep track of the different types of files, and that way we can all speak the same language when we are helping each other. So when you open up this file, you will see many tabs here, and we are going to go to the the tab or the worksheet labeled as debt. You'll see debt in all caps at the bottom. You'll go to it. This looks similar to the equity financing because the mechanism or the template which these spreadsheets have been built is all similar. So you'll similarly create some new rows, format them appropriately, and you'll enter in, or you'll copy or paste in the relevant transactions for the most recent quarter, which will be in your chemicals debt 2Q or 3Q 2015 consolidated file. And you will take these transactions, both commodity and specialty debt financing transactions. You're going to paste them in here. Paste them in the way other transactions have been put into this file. Make sure you fill out the relevant information here. So label the country with the letter, whether they are private transactions, public, and the marketplace, and so on and so forth. After you do that, you get your data ready for charting purposes and um, for each of the types of analyses we do. So after you've entered your data, you're going to go to the tab on the left labeled as all, ALL, parentheses WW. And here you'll see, familiar looking kind of a worksheet with data on top, an input output sort of mechanism at the very top, and charts below it. So it's essentially identical to the equity financing worksheet. The key factors here are the country locations, the dollar volume and number of transactions. Here, this is labeled as U, so for United States. The relevant dates are entered here. So in this case, this was data analysis for 2Q 2015. So we are interested in transactions from the beginning of the year, so December 31st, 2014 until June 30th, 2015. So for the next quarter, you'd put in September 30th, 2015. Make sure that the date at the top in columns A, B in row 1 are correct and correspond. That's actually where you'll enter the dates, and they link to each of these in row 4. And you'll have an output for deal amount and number of deals, and you will take those outputs and enter them in the most recent column for the quarter, which you'll see from rows 14 through 19, with row 20 being sums. Do the same for the number of deals, and then like the equity financing, you'll go to the charts. Make sure the chart is linked to the correct location. Here it is. The purple box captures the date or the x-axis, and the blue box captures the y-axis data, and you'll have the same. Or there's only one here. Let's see. There's only one chart here, but you will figure out which charts you need again from the presentations. So from here, we're going to go to a different tab. After you've completed this, you can go to all, parentheses PU and PR, as in all transactions, public and private. Again, similar looking worksheet or tab. Data on top with an input-output mechanism. You're going to enter your relevant dates. Here, let me zoom in a bit. And then for the quarter you're looking at, and the market type, public here and private to the right of it. And you'll get your deal amount, your dollar volume, and your number of deals. Again, you're going to enter those amounts manually into the column, into the relevant column for the quarter. For public and private, you'll have your sums, and this will link to the charts below. Click the charts, click each of the bars, and they should link to the appropriate data above it. The next relevant tab would be the tab labeled as HY, and that stands for high yield. Again, similar looking tab. Your relevant dates, in row 4 and row 1 actually, and high yield, Y for yes, N for no. You'll see that in columns D and P, and then you'll have your outputs in rows 7 and 8, dollar volume and number of deals. You're going to take those numbers after you get the right output and enter them in to the relevant location or to the correct location within this data set, and they will link to the chart. So make sure the chart captures the relevant data and for the right year, and that should be it. So you'll notice that after you get used to the first couple of these these charts and the data input and output, it gets they are all fairly similar, so you should be able to figure out how they all work. And that should be it for all of the financing charts. This was debt, and we did equity before. And the next portion will be M&A.